Here, the head coach of the Cavaliers, Dane, Damron. Coach coming off a tough loss last week at home against Fairmont State. Really, very little went right in any facet of the game. Is that a situation where you just take that tape and burn it and throw it away, or were there some things you could take from that you could show the kids to move forward with this week's game at Urbana?
Well, I think you've always got to go back and evaluate how you played, and because there's always teachable moments in every game. Even though the score doesn't show it, there were some things that defensively and offensively that we had executed and did some good things. It just wasn't enough of them. It was a bad effort. The only thing we did was show up, and we played that game just like we practiced. We didn't have a great week of preparation, and it showed on Saturday. And that starts with me. I got to do a better job of getting us prepared to go play a football game. But I think you've also got to give a whole lot of credit to them. They have a very good football team. I think that's the best game that they've played. And so we just got to regroup and get ready for this next one.
When you have something like that happens to you, from a coaching staff down to the athletes on the field, does that help, especially I guess the athletes here, get refocused and get their mindset back? And you're going on the road where you've had a lot of success this year. You've won 3 ball games on the road.
Yeah, I think that anytime you get beat like that, it's got to humble you a little bit. And I think from myself on down, I think we probably went into that game thinking that we're a little bit better than we really are. That was just a weird game in the fact that we never could get the field flipped. Our defense was playing, they just had to defend 40 yards, it seemed like, every time to try to score, because our punting game, we're on our 4th punter, and I thought Dane went in there and did a phenomenal job for, his lack of experience doing that. He wasn't recruited to be a punter here, and he's not a punter, but he stepped in and tried to do it. But when you can't flip the field and your defense is constantly playing on a short field, that makes it hard. And then when you look up and 4 minutes into the game, you're down 16-0, that it was just a bad game. But I think our kids realize that we still got a whole lot of work to do. And not only do we have a whole lot of work to do, we still got a whole lot to play for. We still got a good opponent this week, and to play the game and play the string out and have a chance to put a pretty good record on the field, on the stats.
You're talking about something to play for, and I mentioned you've already won 3 road games. What do you attest that to? I mean, in the past, and I know it's a different regime and a new coaching staff, we've not had a winning record on the road since 2008. You've still got 2 road games left. If you win either one of those, you're going to end up with a winning record on the road.
Well, I just think it's how you approach the game. Every time you travel on the road, it's a business trip. You're not going up there. You're not going up there for frolic. You're going up there to have a good time. But the only way you have a good time is if you win and play good. Because a 5-hour trip is a 5-hour trip, but it makes it about a 7-hour trip on the way back if you don't play good. And I think the fact that we're leaving earlier and getting up there and allowing the kids to get to the hotel and relax just a little bit before we have to get to the game. And so the kids have played well. They've kept competing and kept us in games. We've had a chance to win them in the end.
Coach, you're talking about looking at Urbana this week, and they're a program in a lot of ways, I think, on the rise, as ours is. Coming off a big win over the University of Charleston, they're going to have the reigning MEC Player of the Week on offense, and their quarterback, who had 5 touchdowns last week, threw for 3, run for 2 more. If you could, just your impressions of the Blue Knights and the challenge your team faces on Saturday.
Yeah, they're a team that we've had a chance to watch a whole lot just because how the schedule's fallen. We've seen a lot of film on them, and there's no doubt you see a team that has improved every week. I don't think they've had the game like we just had where they just totally didn't show up. And so they're going to be ready to play us, and I think their coaching staff has done a great job of with their young men, their quarterback. There's no question that he has improved every week, and he is throwing the ball and making some really good plays for them right now.
Coach, you got one guy in Zachary Blair who he had 10 tackles last week, but it's more of a career milestone. He's up to 72.5 tackles in his career. The all-time NCAA Division II record is 77, and I know we've talked about him a lot since you've been the coach here this year. If you could hit a little bit on Zach and the accomplishments he's had here, and what that would mean for him and for UVA Wise to be listed in the record book of somebody holds the all-time record for tackles for loss.
Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. I sat down and had a talk with Zach about that and told him that there's nobody that wants him to get that record more than me. That shows a lot of pride and a lot of perseverance, and I think Zach has done a pretty good job this year of staying within the confines of what we're asking him to do, and I think he's a better football player because of that. And we just got to make sure that these last couple of games he continues to do that, because if he just plays football the way you're supposed to play football, he'll get 4.5 tackles for loss. in these next 3 games, because that's what he does. And I'm happy for him. He's been a hard worker. I think he's totally bought into what we're trying to get accomplished here, and he's been a good leader for us.
Another guy on defense, and he's really turned the corner this year. Ed Cardbo now has an interception in 3 straight games, and the improvement that you've seen out of Ed from the springtime to now and how he's progressed throughout the season, really been a boost for your secondary.
No question. Ed plays hard. Ed's where he's supposed to be, and that's how he practices. And hope he gets another interception this week. But he's definitely going to have a chance to take the leadership role on the defense going into next year with him being a junior. So I'm excited at what he's done and excited what he's going to continue to do.
Looking at the offensive side of the ball, and a number that caught my eye when you just peruse the stats is we've had 4 different guys catch at least 25 passes this year. And I know that's something that you and I spoke about earlier in the year about Bryson and Jeremy spreading the ball out a little bit more, and you guys have really done that here in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think it's important that a lot of guys touch the football. We've got some kids that can do some great things when they get the ball in their hands, and it's just up to the offensive staff to make sure they scheme things up where they have a chance to get the ball to those kids. And the kids have been very accepting to what we've tried to do offensively. We just can't have a game like we had this past week because we were pretty lethargic on the offensive side of the ball and didn't give us much of a chance to win the football game.
Coach, good luck on Saturday. Fans, if you're not making the trip up to Urbana, you can listen to it on FM 92.1. Kickoffs at 1 p.m. Pregame show starts at 12:30, or you can listen on WDICradio.com. Good luck, Coach.
Thanks, Derek.